my channel. My name is Celsie, aka Mother Vegan, and today's video we're going to be talking about Montessori and the Montessori approach to parenting. Now, just a disclaimer, I am not an expert in this field. If you do want an expert view or expert advice, then definitely go and check out the Happer family. She is actually where I get a lot of my information from and a lot of my ideas from. Not all of them, but a lot of them. She is Montessori through and through. I, on the other hand, I love Montessori, but I don't use Montessori in everyday aspect of my parenting and bringing up Hugh. But I kind of pick the parts that I like, really, as should anyone. The reason I love Montessori is because it teaches your child to be independent from a really early age, but not independent like they think that we don't care about them or we're not there to help them. They're just independent so they don't get as frustrated. They kind of learn as they're doing how to overcome something that might be in the way, or something that they couldn't do and that they really want to do, and by the end of it they'll do it. They'll have a great self-esteem. They'll think, oh wow, look, I did that all by myself. It just teaches them to be independent from the beginning. Also with Montessori, it's all about absorbent minds as well. So it's very much about that child is a human being. That child is capable if you give that child a chance. So rather than me going and taking off Hugh's jacket, he can now take off his own jacket. All I said to him yesterday was, Hugh, can you take off your jacket, please? And he did it straight away without even thinking. That was just normal to him. So he's not going to depend on me to take off his jacket when he wants it taken off himself. He can take off his jacket when he wants. He doesn't have to wait for me to be there or any other adult to be there. He can do it himself, so he's not going to get frustrated about that certain thing that he can do himself. And because you're teaching them to be independent from an early age, they will become more competent adults. They will be able to tackle anything that comes in their way because they've done it from such an early time in their life. Hugh is, honestly, he's a baby Einstein. He is a genius. I'm sure all parents say that because we're biased, but in my eyes, Hugh is a genius, and I put it down to the Montessori approach. Now, I haven't done Montessori right from the beginning. I only found out about it when he was around about 5-6 months. I started to look into it, so I didn't start it right from the beginning. I wish I had, but it's never too late to start, ever. It's never too late to start. Hugh also doesn't go to Montessori nursery. There is none in this area. Sadly, there's none in our area, nor is there a forest school or a beach school, even though we live in an area where that would be perfect. But hey ho, his nursery is wonderful though, and they do also take aspects of Montessori as well. So one of the things that is big in Montessori is that you are at one with nature, so you try and use as many natural products as possible, natural materials, and they are now leaning more towards natural materials. That's mainly through living more sustainably. They're trying to become more sustainable in the nursery, which is great. They also do have a little backyard where they call a forest school for preschool, but it's not really, it's just a backyard, but they go hunting for mini beasts and such like, so it's a great nursery, and they do the toys like this as well there. So it's not a Montessori nursery, but they do take aspects of it, and they do like teaching children how to be independent. So after that very long introduction, let's get into the video. To begin with, we did baby-led weaning. Now, with Montessori, if you look at her past research, it was purees that were fed to the babies at a young age, but baby-led weaning has grown. I absolutely loved baby-led weaning. So baby-led weaning is basically your child has exactly what you have, not pureed or anything like that. They're just having what you have. So we started off with the likes of broccoli, a head of broccoli or a parsnip or a carrot. He'd have that and he'd chew on it with his hands. He absolutely loved it. He did go through a phase, probably, I think it was around 11 months, and that was when his back teeth were coming through, that he didn't really want to eat very much. But the thing is, don't force your child to try and eat something, because then they'll have a bad relationship with food and they'll feel very anxious if you're trying to force something down the throat. If they're hungry, they will eat, and that's the thing that I learned from baby-led weaning. So with the baby-led weaning, he obviously started off in a high chair. We would all eat together. He then began to understand cause and effect, so he'd pick food up and throw it on the floor and look at where it's going, and he found it really interesting. He wasn't misbehaving at all. He was truly interested in what was happening with the food. So we decided then, I think he was about 13 months, we decided to take him out of his high chair and put him on his own table and chairs. This one here, you can just see here. But then after a couple of months, he actually just started walking around and he wasn't bothered about eating. So then we tried to put him on the floor. He now eats really well again, so he obviously prefers to be on the floor. I'm not sure if that's what they do in nursery or what, but he likes being on the floor. But yeah, baby-led weaning, definitely 100% something that we will do with our next one if we are lucky enough to have another one. So as for behaviour management, we are very lucky. Well, I feel very lucky because Hugh doesn't necessarily misbehave, but I'm not sure if that's because the way we see him doing things, we don't see him as misbehaving, we see him about being curious about something. So I think changing your mindset about why a child is doing something will help his behaviour, because you'll see he's not actually misbehaving, he's not doing it to be naughty, he's doing it because he wants to find out what happens with that. We never ever shout, nor will we ever physically hit Hugh. Yes, there has been occasions where we've had to like hold his arms down because he's being physically abusive either to me or himself. That again is not being naughty, and most of the time it's actually out of excitement. He gets too excited, and the only way he can express something is by hitting us. I think it's just a phase that most kids go through, and I don't deem that to be naughty behaviour at the moment. There are some occasions where it's frustration, especially when it's tired, but at the minute he's not misbehaving. And also with behaviour management, we tend to not say the word no. We do say it because Hugh needs that one solid word, he needs no, but we explain why we have said no. So when he's hitting, for instance, we say, no, please don't do that, that hurts Hugh, and explain to him why he shouldn't be doing that. But also on the flip side, if you say, yes, you can do that, or yes, we will do that today, explain why you've said yes today. So then when you say no in the future, you can say no because of this, and then he understands why one day he can do it and one day he can't, so there's not any confusion there. I also give countdowns as well, and I always explain to Hugh what we are doing now and what we will be doing in the next however long. So for instance, he hates getting his nappy changed, absolutely hates it, as most kids do. So I will explain to him when I'm about to change his nappy, right, you've got 5 minutes before I change your nappy, you've got 3 minutes, you've got 2 minutes, you've got 1 minute, and then I take him, and he's kind of starting to understand what a countdown is now. So that also helps behaviour management as well, because he knows what is coming and what is going to be expected of him. Also, on another note, we don't actually reward Hugh for good behaviour. Now, that is a bit of a controversial thing, and it's definitely something that I truly believe in, especially as a trainee teacher. I know a lot of parents and a lot of schools and a lot of childcare settings will give rewards for good behaviour, and if that works for them, then that's great. But for me personally, I don't want to do that. I want Hugh to have a good sense of inner motivation, so he's not motivated by the reward he might get by the chocolate or by the walk that he's about to have. He wants to do it because he wants to do it, not because he's going to get something out of it. So concentration is a big thing in Montessori. We all know when we are adults, we can sometimes have difficulty concentrating, and then when we're in the zone, we want to stay in that zone. We hate it. So the other day I was doing my assignment, I was in the zone, loving life, and then all of a sudden I had a knock on the door because the postman was there with a parcel, and that took me out of the zone and I couldn't get back in it. That's exactly the same with children, and the younger that we teach them about concentration, how important it is, the better that it will be for adulthood. So I always joke, when he was in the zone, when he's fully concentrated on a task at hand, he has this kind of very distinct breathing. Like a lot of people stick their tongues out when they're concentrating. Hugh breathes differently. It is adorable, like it is honestly adorable. So as Montessori says, is that play is a child's work, and it absolutely is. All of these toys here and all the toys down there that I'll show you later on in the video, they are all there for a certain task. They are all there for development and cognitive development, physical development, language, writing, reading, everything. They're there for a reason. Play is the child's work, and we shouldn't take away from that. So life skills is also something that's big in Montessori. It's something that I love trying to get Hugh to do on a daily basis. A lot of these things that he does doesn't happen every single day, but the more I do it, the more he'll be accustomed to doing it. So for instance, life skills that Hugh can do, he can take off his jacket, you can take off his shoes. For self-care, we give him 2 outfit choices in the morning and 2 nappies. He picks whichever one that he wants to wear that day. If you've watched my videos for a while, you know that we like buying things secondhand. We're waiting for an IKEA Kallax or something similar to come on Facebook so we can buy that and make the wardrobe. So rather than us giving him 2 outfits, he's going to have them hung up in the wardrobe. We'll have like 5 outfits in the wardrobe for him to pick from. So that's what we're going to do for that as well. He also brushes his own teeth, wipes his own face. We'll either do that before or after he's done it as well, so we know that he's getting cleaned properly. We also did the IKEA hack where we got our learning tower for, it was about £25, which is extremely cheap for a learning tower because they can be like £100 and we just don't have that kind of money. But in the learning tower, every single Sunday we bake something. He loves baking, he loves doing the dishes, or at least he puts the dishes into the sink and then plays with the water, but you know. He also makes his own pudding, which is just yogurt and fruit. And the reason actually that we did yogurt and fruit is because I wanted him to learn the scooping motion of the spoon, which he can now perfectly do. So that's another tip. If you need him to learn how to use the scooping action of the spoon or fork, that's a great way. So when Hugh's finished eating, so when he doesn't want any more, he tells us when he's finished. He picks up his bowl or his plate and takes it to the kitchen. That's when we know that he's finished. He also brushes, he's got his own little dustpan and brush here, which does look like a toy, but it's actually, we do actually use it for a cleaning set. So he cleans up the floor himself when he's made a mess, or if he's sat at the table, he'll wipe the table clean. So he's doing all that. Every Saturday and Sunday, or every day off that we have together, in the morning we go for a walk. I will take him in the pram because we do live in a busy built up area. I take him in the pram, we go to the park, I let him out of the park straight away and I just let him roam free. I never tell him, oh Hugh, come this way, come this way. I follow him as very much child-led. The only time that I might say come this way is when I want to show him something that I know he'll be interested in, like a squirrel or a bug or a plant or something like that. When we're going for a walk or when we go food shopping, for example, when we get out the car, I don't pick him up. I take him out the car, put his coat on, and then he holds my hand, walk into the shop, so I try not to pick him up. Now, creating a Montessori environment is something that we are in the middle of doing. His bedroom is not a Montessori environment. That is probably going to be the last room that we do. We have not long moved our living space into Adam's old office because he doesn't need it anymore, and now the big room is actually Hugh's playroom. I'm not going to show you the playroom yet, but in a few weeks time there will be an updated playroom, which will be a Montessori playroom. It will be fully Montessori. So what a Montessori environment means is that it's a safe space, it's a yes room. Anything that is within reach of Hugh will not hurt him or endanger him in any way. It's all for Hugh. So we've got child-sized furniture, we've got a table and chairs, got a chair over there for him. We've got his little reading corner over there, which when he walks in from nursery, that'll be the first place he goes to. He loves his reading corner. So Montessori environment is basically child-sized furniture and making sure that everything is in reach for Hugh and everything is safe for Hugh to touch. His playroom is attached to the kitchen, so there is a baby gate in front of the kitchen, and that is simply because our kitchen is just too small. He can't be in there, it's just not safe for him. One of the first things that I was doing before I even started to really look into Montessori was I was observing him. I was observing what he liked doing, I was observing what he didn't like doing. The first thing that I noticed he was interested in was he loves stacking things on top of each other. So the first thing I bought, yes, they're plastic, but these are the first thing I bought. There's just stacking cups, and that was the best £2 or £3 I've ever spent, because honestly he was there for hours and hours and hours stacking them. Another one I learned very quickly was that he loved climbing. Like, he would climb on top of anything. He's really small as well, but that does not stop you. So for his first birthday, Adam actually built him a climbing wall. He mastered it within like 3-4 weeks and then got bored of it and hasn't used it since. It's now been taken off. So because I knew that he loved the stacking things, we have three rotations for the toys. Again, I'll get to the toys in a minute. We have 3 rotations, and each rotation has some kind of stacking object on it. It's because that's an interest of his. He also loves banging and making music, so there's always some kind of instrument on there. He doesn't like arts and crafts. That's the one thing that we've noticed, that he'll be interested in for like 5-10 seconds and then he'll be off. He doesn't like just sitting down and doing something. He likes to be around. He's a very energetic child. So every single week I'll offer him some kind of arts and crafts activity. He'll do it, but then he'll give up in like 10-20 seconds. So I'll take it away. I don't try and force him to do it. I'll give him the right amount of time that he wants and he needs for it. Now we will get to toys, which I know is the best thing about Montessori, is the toys. So to begin with, the majority of the toys should be natural materials, or as natural as possible. So you'll notice that most of our toys are wooden, and most of our toys are actually second-hand as well, which is great. That's sustainable living as well as Montessori. So this is rotation 1 that we have. So you'll notice that anything that we have is not complete when they're in the blocks, and that is because when we are adults, why on earth would you go up to like a puzzle and take it all apart to then redo it? You don't. So that's the same with a child as well. So anything on there is incomplete, so then he can do it himself. So the reason wooden toys are so important is because when the wooden toys, they have to use their creativity and their imagination to do things with them, especially the likes of this rainbow. You can make so many shapes with it. Hugh doesn't fully understand that yet, but he is starting to learn that he can make different shapes with it, so you've got to use your creativity. When you've got loads of really flashing toys, it kind of overstimulates them, and they don't have to use their imagination as much. And in actual fact, there's actually a high correlation with having loads of flashing toys to ADHD. So there is that correlation, which is one of the reasons why I didn't give him that many flashing toys anyway, because I knew that before Montessori. So each toy that I have will have a different aspect to them. There'll be a stacking one, there's actually a building one here as well. There's a colour coordinating one, there's a balancing one. This one actually I thought he was going to do really well, but he struggled with it for a while. He's just started to learn how to do this now. Each one of these has got different prongs on, so like this one, it looks like Mickey Mouse. It would only go on this one and you've got to twist it around. He's now started to work out how to do it, so I'm very proud of him for working that out. But again, when he first got this toy, he got it for Christmas, when he first got it, he did get really frustrated because he couldn't do it. But then after a while, after me supporting him and encouraging him, he's now learned how to do it and is become independent. It doesn't need me anymore to do this. So this is great for hand-eye coordination. You literally just, you fish out like this. And then finally we have some role play. There's nearly always some kind of role play in there. He's not really interested in role play yet either. It's not something that interests him that much, but he's starting to get there. So I am looking to buy some more role play stuff, like cups and pots and pans and that kind of stuff. So that will be coming. The reason they are set like this in the boxes is because you want to separate each toy so he knows what bits go with what toy, and he can visually see, oh, that toy looks good, rather than them being all over the place. He's not really going to know which part goes with which toy, so this just separates them. So the reason that you only have a limited amount of toys, again, is to kind of get the child to use their imagination, because, well, it prevents boredom really. When they only have a certain amount of toys, they're not going here, there and everywhere like, oh, look at this toy, look at this toy, look at this toy, and not really concentrating on the actual toy itself and completing the task of the toy. When we're out and about, Hugh very rarely gets bored because he's so used to only having a certain amount of toys. He doesn't need much to keep him entertained. Hugh doesn't get bored, and I put it down to the fact he only has this amount of toys. So he has to keep himself happy and he has to keep himself entertained. He's never bored ever. He's just not a child that will get bored. He will always find something to do, and I put it down to the way that we've done the toys. I usually change the toys. I usually do the rotation about 3 to 4 weeks. I see when Hugh's getting really fed up and really bored of the toys, and then I change it then, so I don't have a strict schedule. I kind of follow Hugh's lead. As with everything that I do, I follow Hugh's lead. That's a huge part of Montessori, is following their lead, following their interests. I did this rotation on the 26th of December, so the day after Christmas, because he obviously got loads of toys for Christmas. So I'm going to change them now. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I think I'm actually quite happy with it. So this is stacking. The reason I have kept that together is because Hugh's favourite thing is not actually stacking this one, it's taking it apart. So I keep that one together. We've got this one that actually takes a lot of hand-eye coordination to get it right. Then we have musical instruments, and then we have a colour matching puzzle. I'm going to take them out. I just wanted to show you, but I am going to take them all out. Then we have a puzzle like this. Hugh actually has one in every single rotation. This one's a little bit more difficult than the last one though, because the last one actually had the pictures in the background. So it'll be interesting to see how he copes with that. And then we've got role play. This is a train track, and then we've got some more builds and stuff there. That is the rotation done. Everything else is staying the same. Like I said, there will be a video in a few weeks, probably about a month's time, because of lockdown restrictions, when the playroom is finished, and it will be Montessori playroom. So do subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and then you'll be notified when the video comes up. But other than that, guys, I think that's done. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope it inspires you to do stuff a little bit more Montessori aligned. I'm not saying you've got to do the whole parenting at home life Montessori. I'm absolutely not saying that. We don't do that. But Montessori is such a great way for a child to become independent. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did make it out to the end, then well done to you. It is a long video, I realise that. And remember, one small change makes a massive difference. Bye, guys.